One, I'm already coming out with a hot take. It's fine.
Yeah.
Rogue One is fine.
At the end of the day, I just don't care that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it being in C tier.
C tier, okay.
That's because when, after it all settles, it's like, was it actually necessary?
That's from a couple months ago. That's our tier list.
Yep, and it needs destroyed. We've been on the run far too long.
I didn't think there were that hot it takes.
Look, it's been a few years since I've seen Rogue One. I think if we just go rewatch the movie, maybe our opinions have changed and we can clear our name.
We gotta hurry because... What was that?
Oh no. Okay, I think if we work together, we can get out of this. Well, just glad that Captain Antilles is a good pilot, and he got us out of there. Rest in peace.
I didn't know that was the last escape pod.
Yeah. In our defense, I think those two droids took the last one. We technically jettisoned first. That's just, it's on them. It's on them.
I think there's only one thing left to do. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Dune Sea. My name's Seth.
And I'm Konnor.
My favorite comment is from YouTube. This is from our tier list, okay? So a couple months back, okay? And this is at 8-Bit Beard Co. He said, I saw Rogue One 3 times in the movie theater because I wasn't sure I liked it. It was hard to judge. The more I watch it, the better it gets. And how cool it is to see a Star Wars movie that didn't have a true Jedi in it. That Vader scene at the end may be the best Vader scene ever and shows how truly BA he is and why he's feared across the galaxy. I feel like it should at least be a B.
In B tier.
B tier.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were harsh. We put it in C.
We did.
My favorite comment is from last week. Comes from McClunky Cast
McClunky
on YouTube. Love your guys' podcast and content. Thank you very much. I was curious if you would share or do a video on your podcast setup, like what cameras and such you use. Keep up the great content and hope everyone has a great 2024. Well, thank you very much. And is that actually something people are interested in? Is like a behind the scenes of how we do this nonsense on here?
A day in the life of us.
Yeah, just how we do the show. Yeah. If you guys are curious about that, hey, I'm down to give it.
We'll make content that the people want.
To give it a whirl.
Yes.
So let us know. Let us know in the comments down below if you'd like to see that sort of thing, and we'll do a video on it. That'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So we watched a movie.
We did. A film.
A Star Wars movie.
A
Star Wars story.
A Star Wars story. Yes.
You just referenced our tier list a minute ago. We've gotten some heat for this one.
Yeah, I know. Goodness. People, them hot takes. I guess we were given hot takes and then people were giving us hot takes back.
So it's funny, at the tier list, we did them at random and this happened to be the first one. And so we came out of the gate swinging, and I just know there had to have been so many people. I need to look on our YouTube analytics that were like, man, okay, this is fun. Rogue One C tier, click. Yep. It's like that Squidward meme. They came out with the little lawn chair.
Yep.
Rogue One and C tier.
Yeah, then just walked back in the house.
Walked right back in the house.
Don't care. Yeah.
So the question is, we heard you guys and we were like, you know what? Maybe you guys are right. Maybe we're wrong. I haven't seen it in a little bit.
Yeah.
How long had it been since you watched it?
A couple years.
Yeah.
At least.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'd been a while for me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was pretty lukewarm, as I said in the tier list. There were things I love about it. There's also like, as a movie though, overall, I'm like, whatever. But
Decide to give it another whirl.
You know what? I value everybody else out there's opinions.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time. So this is the first movie review we're doing on the show. It's a bit of a historic moment.
It is.
Episode 20 of Beyond the Dune Sea is Rogue One.
We've always just done like specials and TV.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, this is like the true movie.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're really saving the big boys.
It's true.
We're getting there.
It's true. I got a request this week for us to start doing like we should throw in every now and then some like parody content, like an episode of Family Guy or like an episode of Robot Chicken.
Really?
Yeah, someone asked for that.
I really like Blue Harvest.
I like the first. Yes, I like the first Family Guy.
Yeah,
a lot.
The first one. That's Blue Harvest.
I enjoy that one. And then have you ever watched the Robot Chickens?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I enjoy the second and third ones of those a lot. So like that would be fun.
Personally, I'm not as big a fan of Robot Chicken, but I still like them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's the big question. Has our opinion changed? Was C tier too harsh or was it too generous? And I'll just kind of give, just to start out, just what was my opinion?
Get out of here.
Get out of here, Rogue One.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to, I know MortisFM is a massive fan of this movie and I just wanted to like make his heart drop at home. Grayson from MortisFM.
Yeah.
And Cole, I think Cole's a big fan too.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted them to watch this and
if they like it. Yeah.
Get out of here. No, so to kind of start us out, to prime it a little bit. I really watched this with an open mind. I was like,
I did too. Yeah. I mean, I sat down and I'll admit, I was pretty excited to sit down and watch. I'm like, I'm watching a Star Wars movie. This is good. New eyes on it.
Yeah. And it'd been a while. It kind of felt like it was almost like I was watching it again for the first time. And it was like, man, all week I'd been pretty busy this week and I knew I was going to watch it on Friday. And I was like, I'm pretty excited. I was kind of building up to it. Kind of like I remember when it came out. It came out the day of my last final. I don't remember what year school I was in. It might have been my senior year or something. No.
It's 2016.
Oh, okay. So it would have been like my sophomore, junior year. I don't remember. So of school. And I remember it was the day of my last final. And I was really excited. So like, I'm going to finish my last final and then I'm going to go watch Rogue One. I'm really excited. I can't wait. And I remember when the second trailer for this movie dropped, I was studying with a group of friends in one of the community centers at school. And I don't think they were as big as Star Wars fans as me, but they were Star Wars fans. And I remember I was waiting all day because I knew this trailer was going to drop. And then I knew that they were going to tease Vader in it. And then it dropped and I was like, guys, we got to stop. Cause we were all like really intensely studying.
Mm-hmm.
And we all kind of gathered around my phone and we watched it. And then that last shot, Vader in front of that red screen. I was like, yeah, this is it.
He's back. Yeah.
And I think that's why my opinion was what it was of this movie, was because I think two things. One, I think that my expectations of this movie were misplaced. And I also think that this movie came out at a weird time for me personally. I don't know if this is the case for everybody. Clearly not, because everybody loves this movie, but me apparently. So I liked it more this time around. I'll get into what I liked more about it. I will say, I don't think it's S tier. A lot of people put it right up there with ROTS and ESB. I'm not in that camp. I'll kind of give my ranking later. I did like it more this time around. And I appreciated it more this time around. And I think that my main thing was that this movie came out 2016. We've talked about it many times. That period after TFA, before TLJ, that 2 years was like, what a time to be a fan.
It was a good time to be a Star Wars fan.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was like, you were just jazzed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just in a spot where Rogue One was a little side quest, like I cared, but I wanted to know what was Kylo Ren up to. Who's Rey? Remember, that was at the time. That's all everybody wanted to know. Who's Rey and who's Snoke?
Yeah.
That was every video on YouTube. That was everybody was talking about that. Your Snoke theory sucks. That was that time.
Yeah.
everybody was buzzing. And so when Rogue One came out, it was like, hey, here's your little snack until The Last Jedi. We didn't even know it was just episode 8 at the time.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. And again, I'm a big Luke guy. So I knew episode 8 was the Luke movie. And so I was like, I can't wait. So Rogue One comes out. I didn't have space in my heart to care about everybody. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds dumb, but it's like,
no, I gotcha.
I just didn't have that there. Like, I enjoyed it, but it was like, the best way I can describe it was just like, it just held me over, you know?
Yeah.
But also, yeah, I was that guy. I just cared about Vader. I just wanted to see Vader, and I liked what I got. I did, you know, but my main complaint on the tier list was I thought that it was kind of jumbled and I didn't care about the characters. I will say, I thought I cared about the characters a little bit more this time. Not all of them, but I cared about the characters a little bit more, and they had a lot more weight to me this time around because I wasn't distracted by, oh, I got to know what these other guys are doing. And again, maybe that was dumb for me to think at the time. I was also, like I said, in school, so I had a lot of things on my mind. But I do think that context is important for this movie because this was the first Star Wars movie that wasn't a Skywalker saga movie, but it also came out, I think, at just a time when everybody was so like theory crafting and just ready to go. And then this kind of story that didn't really matter, so to say, comes out. Like, I think if you take Rogue One and it comes out after the sequels, I think the people who really love it still really love it. But I think the people who don't really care that much like it a lot more, in my view.
Okay. So about this movie, it's tough, man. It's really tough because I try to look at it through the lens of other people. I'm like, what are people seeing in this? I even watched other people's reviews about it, trying to see, you know, what is it that people see in this film? Am I missing something? But I hate to say it, I still kind of fall in that I think it's kind of a jumbled mess. I think that parts really work. I think certain characters really work. I think that third act is a fever dream of it just goes. But what about those 2 acts before it? That's the whole thing. And that's what I'm going to break down here with you. And so I also have a kind of a similar story that, like, I'm a little burned on kind of the behind the scenes stuff with watching because I went back and even watched the trailers.
Yeah.
And that teaser, almost all that dialogue is not in the movie. And then same goes for the second trailer as well. Yeah. A lot of that dialogue's not in the movie either. Uh-huh. And it's like, it really does feel like a different movie than what was originally advertised. And maybe that's the problem. Maybe I just shouldn't watch trailers. Maybe I should just go in and like, because I mean, that's always been a problem with you get different shots that are, you know, this was just built for the trailer and that was it, just to hype you up, to get your butt in the seat.
Well, this was a little bit more egregious though.
Yeah.
It's not an Avengers Infinity War moment. Yeah. That is, I think, the worst case of it, where they literally crafted a shot for the trailer that I think is borderline misadvertisement.
Yeah.
That shot where it's all the
Hulk.
Avengers.
Yeah. And Hulk was there and with Wakanda.
This was a case where they reworked almost the entire movie pretty late stage. Yeah. I agree. That is one of my chief issues still with the movie, is that it's still very jumbled.
Yep. But, you know, let's just get into it. You know, I'll just quit kind of beating around the bush. I want to get into the meat and potatoes of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where you want to start? You want to start with I guess we were talking about the characters a minute ago. You want to start there?
Yeah, I think that's probably wise. So I'm going to start with the characters. Okay. I think, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, I think the lesson that they were trying to say, or I guess maybe not correct me, but tell me, you know,
this is what I think. Yeah, this is
wrong. But I mean, I could be wrong. My opinion could be wrong. But I think that this is what the movie was trying to tell me or convey to me, is that war affects everyone on the good side and the bad side. But in doing so, though, okay, with them trying to do that, I think it makes everyone in this movie close to unlikable. Like, if that makes sense. So I made a little you could see my little flow chart that I kind of made right here, that where I've got on one side, these are the characters that I don't really like. Okay. Cassian, Saw Gerrera, most of the Rebel Council. Okay. The characters in the middle, Krennic and Jyn. And then the characters that I do like, Chirrut, Baze, Bodhi, and K2. Now, if you notice that, all those people that I don't really like are like the good guys and the members of the rebellion. The characters that I do like are the people that they brought in along the way. Yeah. Which is interesting because like that's kind of how A New Hope is.
Yeah.
That they bring in all these plucky rebels and maybe they change them. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sure. I don't know. And I think that that's what kind of hurts this, is I feel like a lot of our main characters aren't exactly likable.
I think that what I took, I agree with some of that.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think that they did try to go something similar to A New Hope.
Yeah.
Where you are getting an ensemble cast together.
Mm-hmm.
Except for I think they fumbled bringing the ensemble together.
Yeah.
Because it's in A New Hope, it's a shared mission. They're rescuing the princess.
Yeah.
That's what gets them together.
Yeah.
In this movie, it's like,
well, we're here, and
we're
then
here,
you need
then
to
we're
come
here,
with
then
us.
we're here, then we're here, then we're here, then we're here. We go to like 10 planets in the span of like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, now we're together, but it's not really because of one goal. It's like we see Jyn. Okay, now I really like the opening. Okay, that's fine. And then we fast forward. She's being rescued because there's like a vague hint that Cassian now knows about Galen, so he's going to take Jyn as a way to goad Saw. And so, okay, he's getting her on board. And then, we need this rebel pilot. And then Baze and Chirrut just kind of join the gang. They don't really have a reason to be there, which is kind of like Chewbacca and Han Solo. They were hired.
They're the ride. Yeah.
So it's not quite as cohesive in that way. But I think the biggest problem that the movie does with its characters is that no one has time to be a main character. And I think that that's okay for most of them, except for, I think it really hurts Jyn.
Yeah.
And that's, I have two main issues with the movie, and that's what I wrote down for one is Jyn, which is really unfortunate because I think Felicity Jones delivers, in my opinion, one of the best performances in a Star Wars movie in this movie. Like, I'm not going to lie to you, there were moments like I found myself kind of being very moved, and I'm typically not moved by performances in movies. I just don't.
Mm-hmm.
There were two instances. It was when she's listening to Galen's message, and really like holding back those tears, because it's not your typical crying scene. She's like really choking it back, like just trying everything to bottle it up, but she can't. And I think that that's such a good performance. And then when she's saying goodbye to Galen.
Yeah.
Like that really hit me. I was like, man. And so I lament the fact that I don't think that she is that compelling of a character. I just think she's underdeveloped. I don't think that she's not a good character.
There's no time to develop anybody.
That's what I'm saying is if the movie just moves at a breakneck pace and you don't get opportunity to hit these characters. Whereas
even her big speech, when she talks about hope and everything, that doesn't even feel earned because she hasn't even learned that herself. Like, she doesn't even sound like it doesn't seem like she's even that committed to it. She's just saying it because that's what they need to hear at the time.
Yeah, she flips because of her dad.
Yes.
Which sort of works, but even Cassian makes a joke about it. He's like, suddenly the rebellion is real to you.
Yeah.
So that is one of the biggest things that hurts this movie is the character. I will say I feel for the characters more now.
Yeah.
I think that other than Jyn, I don't mind that I just have a little bit with each of these guys. Yeah. And I get just enough to care about them. Like Baze and Chirrut, I really like those guys.
They're great.
They're fantastic.
They are great.
Cassian, maybe it's Andor making me care about him more. But
here's the thing is like,
I know he's the same guy.
Exactly. Like, and especially like, even if there's more Andor, okay, what's he going to learn? Cause he's still a jerk at the beginning of Rogue One. Like, I mean, I don't get the whole, like, the love for him. He shoots that guy in the back in cold blood. Like, that's not what heroes do. That it's just like,
I get that the movie is trying to go like with this gray, like, hey, there's like the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. There's heroes on both sides,
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's fine. But it is weird that Cassian now has his own show and he has to go through character arcs, but he is still a jerk at the beginning of Rogue One. It's like, how do you get the guy to go through a growth cycle, but then still be a jerk? I think what they're trying to do with Cassian is he's like so beaten down by the rebellion where he's like a Luthen.
Yeah.
He's made his mind a sunless place.
Yeah.
I think that's where they're taking
Where he's
him.
just almost like a Terminator,
Which I will
basically.
say,
Yeah.
I could see that really working. I didn't think about this until just now. I could see that working with Cassian as a character. Like he starts out at the beginning of Andor, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him becoming a very compassionate guy, and then Luthen having to bring him back to being the cold-blooded killer, much to Cassian's like dismay.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be this guy, but I have to be this guy.
Because that's how we win the war.
And like Luthen's speech, because I know we're both not the biggest Andor fans, but I really like that speech Luthen gives.
You can respect parts of shows.
Yeah, and he's like, I like that line. I've made my mind a sunless place. Maybe that is Cassian by Rogue One. Is he's like, I just got to do what I got to do.
Yeah,
I want to be a good person, but at the end of the day, I have to fight. I have to fight, and if a few people have to die along the way, then that's what I got to do.
Yeah.
So I like that's what they're trying to do with some of these characters, and maybe that's what Jyn is she's like that little spark of hope for each of these people. Because what you're saying, like with the Rebellion Council, yeah, they all do kind of suck.
They do, and
I think that's the point, right?
Yeah, I get that.
The bureaucracy is always
and then it's I could see what they're trying to do, where she's kind of the thing that Rogue One's the thing that lights that fire, the spark of the rebellion. That this is how we need to be. We can't just be these little insurgent cells and all doing our own thing. This is how we need to fight. The only problem is this movie leads right into episode 4. There's no time for anybody to grow. It's just, okay, this is just how we have to be now.
Who has to grow? You mean like the
Alliance?
Council?
Yeah. That you know what I mean? There's no time.
I think it implies
right into
that Mon Mothma is that person. She doesn't have any people in her corner. Mm-hmm. And so I do like that shot at the end when everybody's going to Scarif, when Admiral Raddus is on his way to Scarif.
Yeah.
And it holds on for just a moment where you can just see her just start to smile.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mon Mothma is that character, I think. She wants so desperately to fight, but she's just like shackled by the bureaucracy.
Yeah.
She can't get around it. I mean, that was her in the Senate, and now that's her with the rebellion.
Yeah.
And I think the Rogue One was, like you said, the spark that finally got the rebellion kicked into gear. Because there's that girl, I don't know her name. She's on the Rebellion Council when everybody's arguing, and she's like, we didn't sign on for war. It's like, what do you mean? What are you here for then?
Yeah.
What's the rebellion if they're not going to be war?
Yeah.
Were you going to take down the Empire by signing a bunch of petitions? Like this was always going to be.
It was going to have to be. People were going to have to get their hands dirty at some point.
Yeah. So yeah. I like that. I think the movie does a really good job at conveying that like there were some really meek people in the rebellion, and like this was the moment that finally pushed the rebellion into like, no, things got to happen.
Yeah.
And Rebels does that in like smaller ways, but I think that it doesn't really ever get to that point. I think Rogue One is the moment where it's like, no, we're taking the fight.
This is what we have to rally behind.
This is what, like, as a group, like as an organized group, rather than little insurgent cells. Because you can also see that's why Saw broke off and became a nut. Yeah. It's like he was tired of dealing with this crap.
Yeah.
Like you can almost sympathize with him in a lot of ways because you're like, I mean, he's whack, but I'm saying like you can see how he got there. It's like he just wanted to fight. I think what's interesting about Saw is like he's like all these characters could become that, and
kind of like a dark shadow or a light version of Vader, basically.
He is the rebellion's Vader. I mean, they really hammer that one home as soon as he pulls out his breathing apparatus.
Yeah,
which I think is interesting. Like he's their monster. Yeah. He's the rebellion's monster. But the difference is like the rebellion doesn't embrace him, whereas the Empire does, which is fascinating. I think there's a lot to be said about that.
I like a lot of the things that this movie tries to convey. I just don't think that, again, it's a mess.
It is. It's the glue that holds it together. That is kind of my second issue. It's the structure of the movie.
Yeah.
I think that is where I didn't mind it as much, but this is my main gripe with the movie. The characters is kind of, I watch movies for the characters, for the story.
Yeah.
So that does bother me that I don't, that the main character, I can't get behind her as much, which by the way, another point on Felicity Jones's performance, because I could just talk about that this whole time because I think she's terrific in this movie. The way that like the first half of the movie, her performance is like she's always holding something back. Like the character is always choking something down, and just it's like she's wanting to say something, but she's learned that she can't.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how do you do that as an actor? How do you craft that performance? I don't know. It's just like,
Yeah.
I Star Wars isn't really known for its insane performances,
It's true.
you know, but I don't know if it's just me, but the whole time I was watching, I was like, Felicity Jones is bringing it. She really is. I think she's doing a great job.
Especially in that third act. I love all what she's doing and everything. Yeah.
She's fantastic.
Yeah.
The only time I think that she falls flat is I don't like when she says to director Krennic,
I'm the daughter of Galen.
Yeah. When he's like, who are you?
Yeah.
That feels like I don't know. That feels like a weird moment. That felt like a shoehorned thing. Like, I'm the daughter of Galen or so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I didn't like that moment, but that's probably a writing thing. That probably wasn't Felicity's fault. But
yeah,
I think she's great. But about the structure though.
Yeah.
I think this could have worked really well as a TV series.
I would agree with that. Think if we could have gotten Disney Plus a little sooner.
Yeah. Imagine this though as like not like an Andor where it's like a 12 episode thing, but I'm talking like a 6 episode miniseries where you have Edu's an episode, Jedda's an episode, Scarif is an episode. You have getting the band together as an episode, you know, have each thing because they each feel like if you take them like that, they are kind of their own little pocket stories. And I like all of them pretty much. It's really just that first bit. It's getting the band together that I think is the weakest part. Yeah. I love the opening. I love when Krennic is coming in. That opening shot I think is really fun. How a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And then, you know, you see his ship coming in and everybody's scrambling. Yeah. I think that's super fun. A lot of hearkening back to A New Hope with the iconography, especially with the pan up and you see I think that's brilliant, by the way. When you see the stars, it pans up. Yeah. And you have the triangular shape of the rings of the planet looking like the Star Destroyer. Some artistic brilliance there. I thought that was really, really well done. And then just the bit with director Krennic, which Ben Mendelsohn, another actor who is just bringing their A game. I'm a big Ben Mendelsohn fan anyway, ever since I saw him in Dark Knight Rises. Yeah. But I think he does terrific. The whole opening is great. But then as soon as we cut out of the opening into Jyn sitting in that prison cell. Yeah. Again, the scenery, the cinematography is on point the whole time. Yeah. It just is like, it's whiplash the whole time.
Yeah. It is trouble. Like I can see why they put the names of the planets so you could keep it all straight because you're going and meeting all these people. But I mean, like the team of Rogue One, there's a lot of moving pieces. Right. There's all kinds of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think we could have this movie is 2 hours and 12 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Mm-hmm. I think it could have really benefited from another 15 minutes. Yeah. And maybe that's too much for a first act to put that in. Maybe. I don't know. But that first act is just, it's tough. It's not hard to watch. I mean, I'm having a good time. It's just, I'm not connecting with the characters in the way that I think I should. I don't think things are being conveyed quite as well. I think that by the time we get to Yavin 4, I'm like, why is Jyn here? Like, I had to really think about it. I'm like, oh, did Cassian connect the dots about Jyn and her dad?
You know what it kind of makes me feel like? They're trying to do like Pirates of the Caribbean, where everybody has their own agenda and everyone's doing kind of their own thing, and they all kind of end up together. Does that make sense?
I suppose. Yeah.
And everyone's got like a bat, like, because, you know, Jin's there to try to save her dad. Cassian's there because he's got to kill her dad. And like that, they're only both there because the rebel leaders told them that. Then Bodhi's only there because, you know, they need him to, like, it's just like everybody's kind of got their own thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if you cut out one of these guys. Maybe it's better because I like that idea. Which one do you get rid of? I don't know, but I'm saying like I like that idea. Okay. That we have the tension of all the characters having their own agenda. I think that just as a storytelling device, it's tried and true. Yeah. But there's too many people going on. And maybe it's as much as I like Chirrut and Baze, they kind of are just there.
They are just there. I think that all they are actually is like
they're the heart of the crew.
They are the heart of the crew, but they're also like that through line to the Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you take them out, then there's not really anything that has to do with Jedi or anything like that. And it is a Star Wars movie.
Maybe it's hard because I really like those characters, but maybe that's what you need to tighten everything up. Maybe they need to go and you need to kind of blend that with Bode. Maybe maybe no, not Bodhi. Maybe Bodhi needs to be like a Jedi sympathizer secretly.
Something like
maybe
that.
that's what made him want to defect.
Yeah.
Which I hate that because I do really like Chirrut and Baze because they're fantastic.
Yeah, they're awesome. I mean, I don't know why they're not talked about more.
Yeah.
Because I think that, Chirrut's his faith is something.
It's very inspiring.
It totally is. And then also Baze's friendship to him is also really awesome.
Yeah.
That like they are, ride or die, man.
Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
Like
I especially both of their deaths I find very moving. Like Chirrut putting all of his faith. Like I'm going to walk out.
Yep.
I'm just going to walk out and do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
And then he kind of just gives himself up.
Yeah.
I think
that's fire and death.
Yeah. I think that's really, really powerful.
It is.
It's really powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then Baze also like takes out as many guys as he can. And then what's he do? What's the last thing he does? He looks back at his friend.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That is one of the saddest series of shots.
Yeah.
Just him looking at his friend one last time.
Yeah.
I was like, man, it's very powerful. I think that this movie does a really good job.
Good ideas.
Yeah,
There's
it's great.
good ideas in here, but you gotta cut them out.
Yeah, it does a great job of having that weight.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, like everything has so much weight in this movie, and I think that is it's balanced really well.
Yeah.
It's balanced really well.
I kind of want to talk about Krennic for a second.
He's great.
He is really cool, and it's interesting because like I don't feel like he's like a bad dude, if that makes sense. Especially when you like see Tarkin, it's more like he's just doing this for the glory of himself.
Yeah.
Like I don't think he really cares about really what the Empire is doing. He just like, I want to sit on my achievement. I want everyone to be like, hey man, you did a good job. Get on out of here. You earned it. Yeah. I think he's just trying to trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah.
Basically, as opposed to Tarkin, who's like full on bad, if that makes any kind of sense.
I actually think when it comes to Krennic, I think Tarkin has a point. He's a terrible military leader.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's a scientist.
Yeah.
Isn't it like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would he know how to lead men?
Yeah, and he's arrogant.
Yes.
I think that one scene that really stuck out with him is you have when they blow up Jeddah.
Yeah.
You are watching the rebels and everybody die and Saul's dying. And it's like, man, this is crazy. It's just really dark stuff. And I think that they do a great job when you see the ship, when you see the U-Wing flying away and we see the inside of the ship, we get close-ups of each one of the crew and there's just like a weight on their faces. I think they do a great job showing that. It's just like, this is it now. Like they've done it. They've built this thing. They're unstoppable now. It's this moment. But then as soon as we see that, we cut to the Death Star and you just hear like office noises.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sterile. Like you just hear everybody just like clicking away, like some beeping. And then you have Krennic say, oh, it's beautiful. And I know that's a meme now. Really stop and pause about that for a minute, about how dark that line is. Yeah. Like how evil that is.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's like textbook psychopath. So I don't know. I think he is a bad guy.
You think he is?
I mean, yeah, he just blew up an entire city and just was like, it's so beautiful.
But I mean, like, is the destruction beautiful or is it, the fact that like, I made this, I made this happen.
I don't think it matters.
Look at this glorious destruction. Yeah.
I don't think it matters. I think that'd be like Oppenheimer after the bomb dropped being like, look at that.
Yeah. But I mean, he wasn't.
I know, but the fact is he didn't. Have you seen that movie?
I have not.
It's terrific.
I've heard.
But there's a whole section of the movie where after they make the bomb, he's like, we can't use it.
Yeah, no, I do know about that, like in history, that like they didn't want to use it, after they developed that technology.
And Krennic's not like that. Krennic is not Oppenheimer.
No,
Krennic
wants to use it.
Yeah.
Granted, not on himself, which happens later. But yes.
Beautiful moment. I like that shot too, where you just see the reflection of the green in his eye.
Yeah.
I think that's a beautiful
then
moment.
You see that the entire top of that thing that he was standing on is gone. Yeah. You noticed that, right? That the laser hits the top of, like it hits the satellite first.
Does it?
Yeah. And it takes it. Yeah. It blows up the satellite. Huh. Yeah. And then hits behind I
always found that interesting that they miss. What's up with that?
They miss what?
They missed the facility.
I don't think they were trying to like shoot the facility. I think they were just like, what's going to cause, that's just going to cause a shockwave.
So they just wanted to get near it. Like they didn't
I mean,
need pinpoint accuracy.
I mean, I don't. So in Legends, fun fact. I mean, the Death Star isn't exactly that accurate. Did you know that? That
okay.
like in the IG-88 book in Tales of the Bounty Hunters, he actually has control of the second Death Star, and that's why it can shoot so accurately.
Okay.
It's because he's in control of it.
Well,
For like one brief moment, he is in control of it.
I mean, when they hit Jeddah, though, they hit it like center of that city.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I'm like, why don't they just hit it right on the tower? I know you need that shot of
Yeah.
Cassian and Jyn
Yeah,
on the beach.
that's why.
So I'm like, why did they miss?
Yeah.
That was my
I don't know.
thought. But yeah, Krennic's a cool character, man.
Yeah.
I think he's great. I
Mhm.
think he was well deserved in that pantheon. And I really like the retroactive placement of him in A New Hope, where he's supposed to be in that empty chair. Do you know that?
Oh no! When they walk into the council room and everything.
Yeah, and on the Death Star,
Yeah.
there's one empty chair. Now, the real reason why that chair is empty is because that's where the cinematographer sat to shoot that dude. I always forget his name with the weird haircut.
Yeah.
That's where he sat, and so they just had to keep it empty for continuity.
Okay.
But the in universe now, that was Krennic's chair. That's
Gotcha. And
because that just happened.
yeah, he's no longer there.
Yeah. So
Interesting. Wild. Okay.
you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
I don't know if that's like official canon or if that was a theory, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was confirmed somewhere. I don't know. I could be wrong. Let us know.
Yeah.
If I'm completely off on that. But yeah, Krennic's great. So how about these? Speaking of Krennic, we've got Tarkin in this movie.
Yeah.
I remember this was a big deal at the time.
It was breakthrough in technology.
Very
I-
huge breakthrough.
I think he still looks good. I think people are really like up in arms about it, if that makes sense. I don't think that he's that egregious.
I think you had the same people back then as you do now who had a problem with it.
Yeah.
Like the same people now who have an issue with like Luke and stuff had an issue with that.
Yeah.
I think there are just some people who are more forgiving. You have some people who are just, you're going to hate it.
Now, don't take that the wrong way though, because I think he's in this movie entirely.
No, he is.
Too
I was just about to say.
much.
Yeah.
That is the problem. That they should have just less is more sometimes.
Yeah. Here's the thing with him. Context sometimes can make or break a situation like that.
Yeah. It's like Pirates of the Caribbean. There's like so many characters and there's so much, like the bad guys are even arguing with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. That not only are the good guys arguing, the
I
bad
think that's
guys are
fun,
going
though.
crazy.
Like, if
It
you look
is,
at
but there's a
Krennic-
lot of characters, man.
I know, but if you look at like Krennic is like the hero of that side,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting that he has to kind of fight against his superiors just like Jyn does. Like I
Yeah.
like the mirroring.
Yeah.
But
That's why I have them in the middle. I think
Yeah.
that they're yeah, exactly. That I think that like, oh, okay. Like
They're doing a good job.
yeah.
No, I think Tarkin at the time, I thought it was a neat thing to do that they wanted to pay respect to Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
So this was a new technology. And they were like, we don't want to recast because this was his part. And nowadays with deepfakes and AI and everything, if they made this movie today, I think it would have been just 100% the right move to recast. Because the guy they did cast looks like him anyway. Have you seen that guy?
I have not.
I mean, he
Yeah.
looks like him anyway.
And then what they do, like they put the
They
face
put the
over-
dots on him.
Gotcha. And then they just kind of put the face over him.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which forgive me, I don't know his name, but I think he does the voice as well, and he sounds like him.
Yeah. Especially the Fio when ready.
Yeah.
Like that is insane.
Yeah.
Like it sounds just like him. There's other times I don't think he sounds as much.
Yeah, it's
but
not spot on,
Yeah.
of course, but I think that he does a great job, and I think the spirit behind it about paying homage and like, hey, this was a person who meant a lot to Star Wars. He's no longer with us. We want this to still be his face and his, to have his place in the movie because he's an important part of this. I think that was a cool idea. I kind of wish he would have stayed a reflection in the mirror because when you have that first shot of him, you approach him from the back and he
it's
starts
awesome.
talking
Yep.
and you just barely see him. I think that would have been enough.
Me too. Or maybe if you need to have him a second time, have him be a hologram or
Yeah,
something
shoot around
like
him,
that. Yes, you could. You could. That I don't think that he needed to be in the movie as much as he was.
It doesn't bother me that he is. I like
Yeah.
some of the lines he gets where he's like, hey, you have to answer to a much more patient or a less patient audience, starting to tease.
Yeah, but at the same time though, wouldn't that get annoying with like shooting around him and has that big of a role?
It depends on how they did it, I guess.
Okay. I'd be worried about that. That's all.
Depends on how they could get creative. There's a lot of ways you could do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could get distracting as well.
Yeah.
Star Wars, we talked about this before. Star Wars is weird in the fact that it's not a comic book. It is the only franchise of its size that started with actors, you know? So there are faces attached to these people.
Yeah.
Whereas like Spider-Man, you know, you can change those people out. With DC, you can change those people out.
The comic books also have a multiverse, which helps as well.
It does.
Star Wars doesn't have multiverse theory. Yeah.
But Star Wars, it came out in 1977. People, unfortunately, they age.
Yeah.
They pass.
Got to work around it. Yeah.
And Star Wars, like, it is the only franchise of its size. You know, that is just a reality of it. And so we're kind of in this weird spot now, you know, where we have to keep dealing with this. And I think that we kind of just have to decide on something. And I think I'm finally in the camp where, yeah, let's recast. But again, at the time, I think it was the right move. Now, talking about Leia later, Carrie was still around at the time. She, I think, passed like less than a month after this movie came out. But at the time when they made it, she was still around. She actually really liked that part in the movie, from what I understand. I think they should have recasted that, in my opinion, her part. Because she was still around, I just don't see the reason to do that. I guess it's like...
Didn't her daughter do the face, though?
I don't think so. I could be wrong on that. I don't know. I actually don't know.
All right.
I won't
For some reason, I feel like that, yeah.
I won't swear by it, but I think that her daughter stood in for Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
But not this. I don't know. Gosh, now I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But yeah, so we have Tarkin, and then we have the elephant in the room. There's one more big character that's in this movie.
The big man.
Yeah.
The big guy.
Yeah, who almost killed us again.
He did.
Here about 40 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about him?
Vader.
Yeah.
Lord Vader.
What about him?
He has 2 scenes in this movie.
He does.
Well, 3 if you count like the couple little shots he gets right before his last scene.
Yeah.
His first scene in the movie, I was so freaking jazzed about this when the movie came out. I remember after this movie came out and I saw it in theaters. First of all, I was so excited because I'm a big James Earl Jones fan. Love me some James Earl Jones. And when I heard he was coming back to voice him, I was like, not only am I excited to see Vader, I'm excited to hear Vader. Can't wait. Loved that scene. When I got home after watching it, I scoured the more devious parts of the internet to find a bootleg version of that scene. And I downloaded it to my phone to just watch it over and over again.
So you could watch it again. Yeah. Wow.
I know. Cause I just, not even the hallway scene, that scene. Cause I just wanted to hear him talk. On its own, I think the scene's really cool. I like that weird priest guy coming in. You see the body. I don't think it was a real person. I think that was just like a rubber prop.
Yeah.
And then I love the first shot you get of him.
The shadow.
The giant looming silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
And then he walks in, Director Krennic. The man has still got it.
Yeah.
Gosh, he's so good. And then we get I think that scene, like I said, is really cool. On my rewatch, I wrote down, I love this scene, but it kind of feels pointless. Because he's just there to scold Krennic, but Krennic already kind of solved the problem. He's there to tell him like, hey, don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed, you know, which he doesn't, I mean, that's his line from A New Hope, but that's what the point. And about, hey, this thing with Galen Erso, you figure that out. But didn't that already happened though? Like if that scene takes place before, because that, even though I just watched this, now I'm thinking, this takes place after Edu, right? Yeah. This takes place after Edu.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why Vader would scold him after Edu when Galen dies.
Yeah. I mean, he's also like Tarkin or Krennic's there also just to kind of like tattle on Tarkin to him.
Yeah, I know.
It's
odd. I know it was just a way to be like,
we got to get him in there.
Hey, here's a way. And I think that they do a good job of like ramping up to Vader. Like you get Tarkin at first being like, hey, you're gonna have to answer to a much less patient audience. And then when they're about to watch it, he's like, man, Vader nor the Emperor could be here. Why? You know, that sucks. Mm-hmm. And then we get that scene. I think it's cool, but again, it feels,
I didn't like the careful not to choke on your aspirations.
Did you say you don't like that?
I don't really care for it.
Really?
I don't.
I think it's fun. I like that we get dramatic, sassy Vader a little bit.
Okay.
I do like that when we play the hits in this movie, we play them up. You know what I mean?
The hits hit.
Well, I mean, like we don't just get a Vader force choke. It's like he's about to walk away and you're like, man, Vader's not going to do anything. And then he starts choking with his back turned and he turns. And it's like, you thought I wasn't going to do this?
Yeah.
Turns out I was doing it the whole time. You know, I think that's fun. I think that's a cool idea. The movie does this a lot, actually. It does it where it teases you with making you think that they're not going to do it. It's like the mom on Christmas. You didn't think you were going to get the gift, but we got it for you anyway.
Yeah.
So I like sassy Vader. I think that's part of Anakin's character. I think that's fun. I think that he has a commanding presence. But again, it's just like, did the scene need to be there?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe it didn't.
It's crazy too when you start thinking about that. Like, we were just talking about how our heroes travel to a bunch of places. Krennic's all over the place.
Yeah, he keeps bouncing.
Yeah, he's going all kinds of places too. It seems like, again, I think another 15 minutes and not only getting heroes, I think getting more of that, the bad guy side of the story, I think would have helped as well.
No, I agree. And I think that he could have gone right from Edu being like, okay, the stuff with Galen, I just found out about this. Maybe I need to go to Scarif and find these plans.
Exactly.
And like
that would have kind of fixed a lot of things.
Instead of stopping by Vader's house first, you know, I just think that that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's the dialogue. I think that could have been integrated better. And I wonder if in the original cut of the movie, because if you watch the BTS stuff from this, there's other shots of Vader that are never in this movie, especially that teaser from Rogue One, that one I mentioned that I watched.
Yeah.
That shot with him behind the red table, that's never in the movie.
Yeah.
There's also there's a shot of him getting off a ship that we never see. I know there was talk of him leading a battalion on Scarif, like on the ground. I don't know if that was ever shot.
Yeah.
But
where it was almost like a slasher movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. Mm-hmm. So, but now the second scene with Vader.
Yeah.
I'm not a contrarian. Okay. I love this. It's awesome.
Okay.
I mean, who doesn't? Let's be real. Do you not?
So,
no way. No way.
I'm going to show you something. So, little fun fact. I ran a board game shop, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Give me a sec.
If this man is about to tell me that he doesn't like this scene,
Check
this may be
out.
Our last episode.
Check this out. So I ran a board game shop. And this was one of the prizes one summer. Check out this playmat.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe you could put it up to them. Yeah. So if you look, this came out an entire year before Rogue One. And they are in the hall of the Tantive 4. And he is killing rebel soldiers. So I will admit that I don't love it as much because I saw this imagery way before it actually happened in the movie. And I know now in the movie it's moving and stuff. But I was like, as soon as he started slashing, I go, and I like noticed their outfits, I go, hold on.
And that made you not like it?
It just made me be like, how did this get by somebody? Because this had to have been, how did this guy have the exact same idea?
To be fair, I mean, it's not that unique of an idea. I mean, Vader being in a white hallway.
In a Tantive 4.
I mean, that's like
slashing up those guys.
I mean, Ralph McQuarrie has art like that.
Yeah, but you didn't see it before the movie.
What do you mean?
You didn't see like Ralph McQuarrie art, like they like released the art book and it wasn't on a poster.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like Ralph McQuarrie's original art for Vader. Like,
has him fighting guys on the Tantive 4?
He has him fighting that original concept for Luke. Yeah,
but
he's on the Tantive.
Fighting with a lightsaber though. Yeah, it's not like him chopping up rebel soldiers.
You think that that's that unique of an idea though? Him fighting rebels on the Tantive?
Man, I'm just saying that it was kind of jarring when I saw it. That I was just kind of like, well, look at that. Like my mind went exactly that. I'm like, that was on my wall, or that was on the wall of my store for an entire year.
But that made you not like it as much.
Yeah, definitely. Like I was just kind of like, okay.
Really? That wasn't like, oh, this is cool to see it moving now.
I mean, then I was like, but I'm also with you where I'm kind of like, is this necessary? Because I don't really like that it goes straight into it.
Now, hold on. I'm like that with the first scene. I'm not so much like that with this scene.
Oh, see, I don't know if I like how this movie goes right into A New Hope.
Really?
I don't know if I like that or not. That it's just kind of like, I don't know. I just like, I mean, I'm fine with the Vader hallway scene. I think it's like, it just,
Seth the contrarian out here.
I guess so. I don't know.
Seth the
It's
contrarian.
Fine. Yeah. Whatever. It's just another bad take, I guess. And I just don't know. Yeah. There you go.
Qui-Gon, Vader hallway scene.
I guess so. That
Seth-
I'm just like, it's just not my favorite scene in this movie.
my take with it is that I think that the movie does a great job of
like building to it.
it's not that it builds to the Vader hallway scene. I think that it's less about Vader, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's like the Dark Night of the Soul moment. Like I heard that phrase in a screenwriting class one time, where it's like you get to the rebels win, right? Like against all odds, they win. And when Vader arrives on a Star Destroyer, you don't get his theme music.
Mm-mm.
And by the way, I like that shot when like one of the ships just crash right into him. So cool.
So like, I think maybe that's why I don't like it. Is it's just like such a downer because everybody's burning up, everybody's dying, people are trying to escape. Oh, now Vader's here. This can't get any better. Like it's just like, and maybe that's why it doesn't set super well with me. And I get that you get like right after that moment, hope.
Exactly. That's why.
And so that is nice, but still, this Vader also going from this right into A New Hope, where he's not moving like that.
I know it's a little suspension of disbelief. I get it, but
it is.
What I like about it is that you get this whole third act that's just building and building and building. Will they? Won't they? And I love the Jen's speech about we're going to keep spending our chances until there's no more chances to be spent, and then they win. And I like when Tarkin gets there again. The shot of the Death Star
rising on the horizon.
You don't get any of these big, heavy musical beats. It's just like soft music. And Tarkin's like, you may fire when ready, inform Lord Vader. Like Vader will take care of the fleet. Mm-hmm. And then Vader arrives. It feels like this moment where this plucky band of rebels, they've started something. Yeah. Like Vader can no longer ignore this. People like Vader can no longer ignore this. And so for me, it's not like strip away Vader's mythos for a second. Like strip away what the audience knows about him. And it's like people like that can't ignore what's going on with what the rebels just started. Yeah. And so now that he shows up, it's like, wow, this guy who's so important, now he has to be here. Tarkin has to be here. The Rebel Alliance has to be here.
I do like that like this little group of guys, made such a huge impact and shifted everything in the galaxy. It's almost kind of like Order 66 happening.
It is in a way.
Where like the galaxy shifts at that point.
Yeah, it's a turning point. Yeah. It is a turning point. Mm-hmm. And I just like that, man, and it's added, the weight is added because us as the audience know who Vader is. We understand who this person is. And we're like, oh man, he's here now. Like this is so big that now he has to show up. Mm-hmm. And then, he prepare a boarding party because we know that the plans are being delivered. And also it makes sense because Vader is trailing the Tantive 4, and he knows what they have. Yeah. So just plot wise, he has to know. Yeah. He has to be following them. Yeah. And then why shouldn't we watch him let loose a little bit? It does I think it adds just more weight to, we need to be scared of this guy. Just because they have the plans, it's not over yet. A New Hope is when they win. This is just a step in that right direction. And so Vader is he's unleashing, and then they hand it off. But like you just said, they have hope. Yeah. And we get into A New Hope. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. I think that's a cool way to end it on. And I almost think it would have been better without that first Vader scene. Because I
think I would like it better too, that it's just like all of it, like they just keep teasing him throughout the movie with like name dropping him.
And then at the very end, they're like, inform Lord Vader, and then he shows up.
He just does his thing.
I cannot overstate how much I like that they don't use the Imperial March when he shows up, because it's not, he's here. It's like, this is so big that he like.
I mean, you do hear it in that Krennic scene.
Yes, you do. I mean, when he shows up in a Star Destroyer.
Yes. And then the other thing though, too, is like, the Imperial March isn't in A New Hope.
I know.
So I think that he was really playing off that.
I don't think that's why because they do use it when he walks out.
Just gently. Very gently.
When he walks out into into space.
Yeah, when
So I think that was really well done. A good use of it. A good use of fan service, if you will. Mm-hmm. Because again, you have to have Vader there. If you're going to lead right into A New Hope, you have to have Vader there because he's a very prominent part of the beginning of A New Hope. So
Yes.
he has to know that they have the Death Star plans. He has to know how
It
they
is
got
kind of
them.
wild to think that, Leia was at Scarif
Yeah, I know.
hanging out in the Tantive 4.
Yeah, which that's a cool scene with Bale.
Oh, him saying that he's going to go, that I trust her with my life.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of want to end this on a interesting topic, which
Okay.
is, would you agree that this feels more Star Wars-y than Andor?
Yes.
I want to talk about why this is, because I agree.
I do have written here. This feels like an action movie a lot of the time rather than a space fantasy. But maybe that's what you get when you take the wizards out of it.
Yeah.
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 It's a little bit more sci-fi. And
Yeah.
maybe that's why people who like Andor and like this movie, maybe that's what they enjoy. They enjoy
Stories
sci-fi.
without the Jedi.
Because we've talked about this a lot. Star Wars is fantasy. It is.
Yeah.
It's fantasy.
Oh, no. In my opinion, it is too. But I mean, it's starting to,
Yeah.
that's our opinion, though.
I don't think, I mean, that's what the man himself, that's what the maker says.
Yeah.
Fantasy
That's true.
space opera.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that some of these properties branch a little bit more into sci-fi, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think that we're asking a question about Star Wars DNA, which I think is so fascinating. We talk about it a lot, about Star Wars DNA. What is that? What makes it Star Wars?
What's that secret sauce?
Yeah, because it's really hard to define. It's not something that's so...
And everyone seems to think they have it figured out.
And we talked about comic books a little bit, a bit ago. Again, it's different because Star Wars is the only franchise of this size. It started not only with a bunch of specific actors, but a specific director. And
one director for a long time.
Well, I mean, producer, we should say. Because
he had his hand, though.
I know.
A lot of it.
But important because I know we'd get corrections. Irvin
Sorry.
Kershner and...
Yes.
And Richard Marquand, right?
Yeah. But I was going to say, but then he made the prequels.
I know. But I'm saying like his DNA, right?
Yeah.
That was part of that.
Yeah.
So it's always this question, like, what is the Star Wars DNA? And this Rogue One feels very close. I would argue one of the closest out of all the Disney movies and shows even. It feels very close to that DNA. Even the parts that don't hit, I think it's like,
okay,
it's playing the hits. And I'm like, why is that? And so one thing I think we got to talk about that we haven't talked about is the score. Beautiful. Michael Giacchino.
I'd be okay if John Williams finally, if he ever is going to retire.
Yeah, because he just came out of retirement.
He just came out of retirement. I love it, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
again,
I mean,
he's one of my heroes.
He's
even though
master.
I know nothing about music, I just I think he's inspiring. That I'd be okay with Michael Giacchino doing all the Star Wars movies after this, all the properties. What?
Don't keep going. I'm just I want to
okay.
make sure I'm saying his name right.
Giacchino.
Is it Giacchino or Giacchino?
I don't know. I thought it was Giacchino.
It's not on this one.
So that if he just did it for the rest of time, I would be okay with it. But I don't think that he would want to be
Giacchino.
Giacchino. So if Michael Giacchino decided that he was going to do the rest of them, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think he leans into the themes at just the right moments, but he also, I think, has a lot of memorable themes. I like Jen's.
Mm-hmm.
I like a lot of Krennic's themes.
Yeah.
He
listened to A New Hope and was like, all right, what can I work with?
Mm-hmm.
And what can I build off of?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so cool. I think that's something to be said about an artist who is okay, he comes in with in this kind of situation where I'm just going to build off something and do my own thing while building.
Yeah.
Rather than just I'm just going to do my own thing.
I completely agree with that.
I'm just going to do my own thing.
You know how I feel about that.
I know that I knew I'd strike a chord.
Yeah. I think that ego gets in the way of too many artists sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that Giacchino does a fantastic job of doing his own thing while also paying a lot of respect, because leitmotif is extremely important in Star Wars, extremely important.
Yeah.
So I think that's, really important. I think that he missteps one time in the movie. I don't think the Force theme should have been used when Bail Organa steps into frame.
I agree. I didn't like that.
I thought that was weird because he steps in out of the shadow and then the whole Force theme progression plays.
But who knows? There was a lot of things messed with this movie. Maybe at that point, maybe there was an Obi-Wan conversation, or maybe there was something more brought into it. Maybe Leia was with him.
Maybe, but I don't think that either way, that's not his theme.
Yeah.
That's Luke's at the core, but it's also the Force more broadly. And I mean, I think he uses the Force theme a few times in this movie, and I think only one time it makes sense. It's when they say, "May the Force be with you" at the very end, and it should have been saved for that, in my opinion. The score is great. The iconography in this movie, I think, is another thing. Well, to connect it back to Andor, the reason I brought up score in Andor, not that I have a problem with it, but it's very not Star Wars-y most of the time, and that's okay. But that's one thing, that's always like, it's important. It shows how important score really is to that DNA of Star Wars. And then you have the iconography. Yes. Obviously, Rogue One is just, and it's built off of it everywhere is Star Wars iconography. The ships feel like Star Wars ships, even if they're new ships.
But that's what's cool is like they show us something new, but it's littered in with other old stuff.
Yeah. I completely agree. Yes. Whereas in Andor, I feel like we could go an entire episode and not see any Star Wars iconography at all. Mm-hmm. Again, it's not bad on its own. And I'm not saying it's bad at all, but when you mix all this together,
it doesn't feel like a cohesive world.
It doesn't feel like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings me to like my thesis on this. Like, are you familiar with the 10-second rule in video games?
No.
So
Enlighten me.
In video games, there's a rule. It's something like the 10-second rule. It's like the player should not go more than 10 seconds without having something to re-engage them with like a piece of dialogue, a new thing to look at, something to explore, something to catch their attention, right? I think there's something, maybe Star Wars has a Star Wars 10-second rule. Maybe not 10 seconds, I'm not being literal, but something like that, where it's like you shouldn't go a certain amount of time without something Star Wars-y in your Star Wars universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I realized by saying that, like, people are going to say, man, Star Wars fans don't want anything new. They just want everything to be the same. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that.
Well, they've built a lived-in world.
Exactly.
Now at this point.
Right.
You got to show us stuff from that lived-in world. You can't just keep showing us new stuff, because then how does that work?
Right.
Then it's something new. It's not the thing that we liked or why we came. Yeah.
It's just when everything is away. Like when you take, my opinion.
Look at this and look at Force Awakens. It's crazy how much new stuff is in Force Awakens compared to this. And I get it. It's the time periods.
Well, in Force Awakens, it's also, I think that's a good example of maybe leaning too hard into
new stuff.
The old.
You think so?
It's got a lot of like everything. It's like, oh, it's the stormtroopers. It's just they have slightly different armor.
That's what I'm saying. Everything's different though. That it's like
I see what you're saying.
An X-Wing, the Falcon, the lightsaber. Other than that, it's just a spin on everything, as opposed to just.
Maybe we're saying the same thing. I'm saying I think The Force Awakens is an example of let's take everything and keep it almost exactly the same and just tweak it a little bit, which can work, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like Andor, it's like it can work individually, but when you just remove everything, it's like, oh, we see a stormtrooper every now and again. Every now and again, we see a TIE fighter. But we don't hear the music that we know. We don't see characters. That's okay. We don't need to see the characters. Yeah. We do see stormtroopers every now and again. We don't see ships that often that we know. We don't see planets that we're familiar with that often.
Yeah.
We did see Coruscant a little bit, I will say. But it's like we go too long, as I guess what I'm getting at, this 10-second rule.
Yeah.
So I gave an example, like I wrote down an example rather, like on Jeddah. We go to Jeddah. That's pretty new, right? So we see that wicked cool statue that's like buried in the ground of like the Jedi. Okay, neat. Immediately, that's Star Wars. It's kind of clicking in our brain, right?
Guy in a hood with a laser sword. Got it.
We see the Star Destroyer hanging over the city.
I know that.
Okay, that's like we're establishing iconography. We're walking through the streets. It's all new. It's a new thing. We have these new characters that we're getting familiar with, and then they pass by an alleyway. About 10 seconds has gone by. Here's some stormtroopers brutalizing the civilians. We're reminded of the plot too, but also stormtroopers, more iconography. The characters, Cassian and Jyn, start talking. They're talking about the rebellion. Okay, it's the world. It's the world. It's the plot. Another 10 seconds go by. You hear Chirrut talking about the Force. Jyn walks over to him, starts talking to him. About another 10 seconds go by. Mm-hmm. And he says, do you know about kyber crystals? And she says, my father told me that they powered the Jedi's lightsabers. Oh, Jedi's lightsabers. About another 10 seconds go by. or more than that, I guess. And then a fight breaks out. And now we have
ATST.
ATSTs. We
Yeah.
have stormtrooper. It's just the whole movie is like this. Where I feel like the whole movie we're getting a lot of new, but we're either getting familiar musical beats. The camera work is very similar. We're getting iconography that is very familiar to us with Star Wars because yes, it should feel like that world. So I think that that's why this feels more Star Warsy than Andor. And I didn't want to do this just to pick on Andor because I like it more than you do, but I like Andor fine, but I also feel like it's not super Star Warsy. But I mean, these are intrinsically tied to one another.
Yeah.
So I think I just thought it was fascinating because I'm like, when I watched this movie, like this feels pretty Star Warsy. Like why don't I feel this way about Andor? I don't know. I found that kind of interesting to me.
No, I agree. I mean, if you change just a couple things, Andor's not Star Wars anymore. It could be any other sci-fi show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. So if I came back around on this movie and I had to re-rank it on a good day, I could be really generous and put it in A tier. Probably the very bottom of A tier. It's probably where I'd put it. Realistically, though, again, because of our law of averages rule, if you don't know what we're talking about in our tier list, we've made a rule where it's like you have to weigh the best against the worst of anything. Yeah. And because I think this movie does suffer from some structural issues still, and there's no denying that there was some things behind the scenes that really messed with this movie structurally.
Especially when you sit and just look at it, just watch it. Because I mean, like even when you first meet, or when Baze and Chirrut save them, like they come around a corner and there's a wrecked X-wing and there's a bunch of stormtroopers investigating it. It's like, what happened? Yeah. What is going on? That like they did what? They just ran into a bunch more stormtroopers. Like there's just it's
a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So I would probably put it comfortably in B, probably pretty high B. I think it's a great watch. I think it's fun. I think that last act, which I guess we didn't talk a whole lot about, that last act I think is terrific.
I mean, it reminds me more of a Mission Impossible movie or a what's another good one? Like an Ocean's movie.
Yeah.
Because it's a heist film, basically, at that point. Yeah. I do also like during that part. Did you notice, did you pay attention to the different projects that they were going through?
Yeah. War Mantle.
Yeah. I don't know that one. Which one's that?
Is War Mantle not from Bad Batch?
It might be. I don't remember off the top of my head. What I was going to go with, they say Black Saber.
Yep.
Which could be TIE Fighters or it could be the Dark Saber. They also say hyperspace tracking.
Yes.
Which is Last Jedi. Which I was like, that's kind of cool that they're like kind of interchanging that and that they also have that technology at their disposal back then so that, the First Order could have that as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that.
I mean, it's all great.
The whole last act is
oh my
terrific.
gosh, it's crazy. I wish it was, that's another part that I do kind of wish was longer. Because I think that space battle is the best live action space. Well, actually, just the best space battle we've got. Yeah.
Period.
It's really good. And I was going to say that, especially that shot where the X-Wings are weaving up and down through the through the shield. Like, that's so good looking. Like, the only other thing that kind of reminds me of that is Wedge and Lando weaving back and forth right before they go down into the second Death Star.
Oh, yeah.
I love that shot, too.
What about the archival New Hope footage? Did you catch that?
Oh yeah, with the pilots and everything. Yeah, no, that's how you do it. That's how you do like cameos rather than just like giving them all huge.
I think that's fun where it's like, hey, Red 5, start your attack run.
Yeah.
And then you see Red 5 just die.
Yeah.
Making room for Luke.
yes. But I think it's cool the Gold Leader's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like that.
Yeah. Like if you didn't know that, that's they used, if you watch it, you can tell they took some archival cockpit footage of shots that weren't ever used in A New Hope and put it in this movie for Gold Leader and Red Leader and some of the Red team, which is really cool. And I will say this, I love Antok Merrick. He's awesome. Blue Leader.
The one with the mustache?
Yeah.
You like him?
He's awesome.
Okay.
I think he looks cool.
Okay.
He's like Top Gun,
Yeah, but at the same time, he's kind of a jerk.
He is a jerk.
He's one of those guys in the Rebel Council room.
I just think he's cool.
Okay. All right.
I just think he's got a cool look. Do you know that was another thing in A New Hope? There was supposed to be blue. All the X-Wings are supposed to be blue. But
why'd they change to red?
Blue screen. They couldn't. They had the technology to do it.
Interesting.
With digital.
Interesting. Okay. What are your thoughts on the new TIE Fighter? Even though you only get like 2 shots of it. I think it's like a TIE Strife. Isn't that what it's called?
Did I miss it?
Yeah, there's like a new TIE Fighter.
What does
there's
it
only
look
like a couple. It's got a wing on top. And they're you only see it because it's one of those that blow up Blue Leader.
That's right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think it's called a strife. Watch now,
It's-
I'm gonna get lit up for like.
No, it's cool.
Yeah,
I like it. I
just-
like all the new ships.
And that's
the
what
U-wing is cool.
Yes, I think. Gosh, that fits right along with everything else. Like seeing it fly along with Y wings and X wings. It's like it always belonged there.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
how
it's
you do
fun
it.
that they took a letter, and it's like, hey, what if we took the letter U?
Yeah, and make it work. It's kind of like BB-8. BB-8's an 8.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, sometimes
that's just what works. You know what I mean? And that's Star Wars is fun when it's like that. When it's just let's just take goofy, fun ideas and just play with them.
By the way, do you call it an AT-AT or an AT-AT?
There's only one right answer to this. What do you say?
Oh, I say AT-AT.
I also say AT-AT.
But you can hear that little guy when they first show up. He screams something that sounds like AT-AT. And so I'm like, is that what it's called in universe? And I was like, no way.
I always just assumed he was just screaming. I know the part you're talking about.
Yeah, but it sounds like he screams AT-AT.
That's really funny.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of like, because my wife calls it an AT-AT just to make me mad. And I call it an AT-AT because I'm like, it's an acronym. You don't just, and also you wouldn't call it an ATST.
In ATST, the ATST.
That's just, no, you wouldn't call it that.
That's funny.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, okay, fine.
Where'd you put it? Where'd you re-rank?
I still think that it's C tier, but like on a good day, I could give it low B tier.
Okay.
Like, again, I liked it more this time around. I will give you that, but still, it's like, maybe I'll read the novel. Because books give you more time to breathe.
Yeah,
I'm serious. That like I think the Revenge of the Sith novel is awesome, and that like everything's just longer in it. And I'm curious. I wonder if maybe the novel to Rogue One's a little better. I don't know. I haven't read Catalyst. Have you read that? Okay, that's the prequel.
Yeah.
I hear that's really good too. People like that. So, but yeah, I like a lot of the things that are in it. I don't know if I like the movie. If that makes any kind of sense. It's just like, I just think it's fun.
I'm not super surprised because you're like, this doesn't seem like your movie. You know what I mean?
Again, as I said, it's a lot of action. It's not very fantasy. And I think that's what I like about Star Wars is that it's a fantasy.
I think that's ultimately where it all comes down for those of you out there. If you're a big Rogue One, you're a big Andor fan. Do you consider Star Wars to be fantasy or science fiction?
Yeah.
Because I would wager a bet for a lot of those fans out there that are really championing like Andor is S tier, Rogue One is S tier. That's their movie. I bet but they also are probably the ones, again, if I had to guess, that don't like a lot of the Jedi and Sith stuff.
Yeah.
I bet they're more in the sci-fi camp.
Yeah.
Just a theory. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but because I love the sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like we can stay in the Jedi and Sith stuff forever. I don't care. I love that stuff.
Yeah. No, you're into the fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. You said I love the sci-fi.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
It's okay. I'm just making sure.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
wait, hold on.
No fantasy. Sorry. Yeah. I'm a big. I love that stuff.
And maybe I think too that the Vader scene, because I'm thinking about like my comments on that earlier. I think it's just because it comes at the very end when I've just like I watched the people I've been following this entire movie just get eviscerated in a giant. A Cinnabon of doom. That's what it looks like, is a giant Cinnabon. Yeah, that it's just like, I've seen a lot of action and a lot of violence. Like, I think that a lot of the action even like looks more like a Vietnam movie than a Star Wars movie. Some of it in this, where the run across the beach and just how they're dressed and everything, you don't see that Star Wars stuff right away. But in some of the shots, you know, we
never go 10 seconds.
We never do go 10 seconds. But like, I will toss out too that I do like that scene where Krennic deploys his guys and the Death Troopers just drop in, and it's just like, oh, they're gonna get stuff done. This isn't good, and then our heroes start dying.
See, that's a great example, I think, on Scarif of a way to do like a more realistic, gritty scene by keeping the Star Wars iconography and DNA.
Yeah. Saddest death. We'll end on that.
Or who do I think is the saddest death?
Saddest death. We'll end on that.
I said it earlier. I think Chirrut and Baze.
You think they're the saddest? Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that Jyn and Cassian kind of have like, I mean, I'm not happy about it, but I think that they've like, I don't want to say they've earned it, but it's like they accomplished their goal. They did it.
Their hug is odd. I really also want to know if there was more of a
in the like a romance in the
yeah.
original.
I want to know just because like it is
I've-
weird just how especially Cassian like really turns.
Yeah, I've
Also,
always
how'd he get through that thing? He
right.
fell and hit. There's no way, but whatever.
I've always
it's fine.
taken their hug as like, hey, I want just.
Yeah, they
we're
want to
about
hold
to die.
somebody. Yeah, and maybe that's it. But I still just feel like that there's more to that.
I think if they wanted to lean into the romance, they would have kissed in the last moment, and they don't. So.
No, but I mean, sometimes a hug is very important as well.
But I think
Just
that
embrace.
Baze and Chirrut and also Bodhi and K2SO, they all like die not knowing if they're going to succeed. Whereas I think Cassian and Jin, they're like, we did it.
Yeah,
our job is done. And so they've
time
kind
to
of
rest.
Yeah, it's like that.
I think I'm gonna go Bodhi. Because I feel like that of everybody, like he gets crapped on the whole movie.
Yeah.
That like like he's just trying to do the right thing. Saw Gerrera's mean to him. Cassian's mean to him. Everybody's mean to him. And yet it's just like he's like, I can't do that. Do it. Get it done. And it's like we have to do this. And it's like, okay. Like, yeah, that it's just like, yeah.
And
like,
as soon as he makes the call, and it is a really sad, he just turns and sees the grenade.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's it.
Yep, that's it. I'm not getting away. That like just it's sad. That like, yeah, he's the one that gets me.
Yeah.
And I think too that like, yeah, that's one of my other problems with it. I mean, I kind of already said that. It's just that like
you also don't
sucks.
You don't like you're also not a huge fan of like downer endings. So
it's true. Even though that I do like the hope, because I mean I think that Revenge of the Sith, like, you know, that New Hope is very helpful for it, you know, seeing the twins and everything that like, you know, seeing Leia, Alderaan, and then seeing Luke with the Lars.
Yeah.
I think that works.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I don't know.
It's cool to revisit it.
Yes.
I still like it a lot. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's a Star Wars movie. It's great to have Star Wars movies.
Yeah, and I still like it. I mean, I would much rather watch this than some other Star Wars films.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I'll end it in just saying that I think that this movie does a great job just balancing. I think that the thing that it does, I'll agree with James Dyer over at Empire, triumphant in the way that it balances. Its tonal balance is just fantastic. I think this movie knows what it is as far as its tone goes. It knows when to be funny. That's another thing about Andor, right?
It's not funny at all.
Like this movie can have some we're just talking about hard hitting moments, but then it can have a moment to make you chuckle for a second.
Yeah.
But then it can also get right back to, oh my gosh, you know, we're right in the middle of war.
It's that TIE fighter.
Yeah, it's that TIE fighter.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was going to say too,
It's sick.
that I was going to agree with, for the third act at least, a spectacular looking thrill ride.
Yeah, who said that?
Richard Roper from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Okay.
I'd agree.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We've heard from Richard Roper. I think it's time we hear from the fans
Woo!
at home. The fan questions.
Oh, yeah.
I asked you guys what you guys thought of this movie because a lot of you guys told us we were wrong on our tier list.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that, though. Gave us an opportunity to revisit the movie.
It's true.
So, first off, Rippic_tan says, I still absolutely love this movie. Beautifully made. Radis or bust.
Dude, I like that character. I like that he's a puppet, too.
Is
he?
he?
I think he is.
He's not a guy in a costume?
That's what I'm saying. He's like he's a practical thing. He's not like a CGI thing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
no, I like that too.
This is cool. I also really like that he's got a, I don't know what you would call it, a floor roof or instead of a sunroof.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't even know what you would call
floor
it.
roof.
Floor roof. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Glass floor.
A glass floor. I don't even. What is the name of that ship? I don't even know. I don't know what his ship is.
I don't know what it is.
The Home One is the name of Akbar's. It's fine.
Anyway, the name of his ship.
I really like that glass floor so he can like look down. And
we talked about it before, but the interesting thing about him and Akbar and like why calamari are good at space battles is because, you know, underwater it's kind of similar to being in space as far as strategy goes.
3D space that you're in.
Yeah, so they're good at visualizing it. So he's cool. I love Admiral Radis. I think he's awesome. Juan4273. Rogue One was as dark and serious as Episode 5, and we need to keep that tone. Maybe. I don't know.
So my whole thing is, it can be dark in tone. I just don't like to look at these things, if that makes sense. Like, I don't like seeing Cassian's girlfriend in Andor get tortured. Like, I like that in episode 4, it cuts away. I like that when Vader walks in on the kids in episode 3, it cuts away. It's pretty tame also when he's on fire, for the most part. I don't really like in the hallway where you're like seeing them crying and screaming and he's just cutting through down all those guys.
You like implied darkness.
I do because my brain can fill that in. I don't need to see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just your softness.
Maybe. It's just the whole like that it's not very fairy tale like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it is.
You
It
think
can
so?
be. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a very much a you thing, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But I think there's a limit for me too. I think mine is just much farther.
Yeah.
Like I think the Vader thing is, I think we need to see our bad guys be bad.
Yeah.
There is a limit though. Like I think that in the episode 3, if we would have saw that level of brutality against the kids in that,
It's a
like,
bit much.
we don't need that.
Yeah.
The implied brutality is enough.
Mm-hmm.
But against the soldiers, because like we said earlier, when we get to this moment, it's like they have a small victory here, but the battle's not over yet. We need to now deal with this guy.
Many costs.
Yeah, so that now we're setting up a new hope where it's like, now we have to deal with this. And I think that brutality, seeing it, the audience now knowing that, and now the rebels seeing it too, are like, it's not over.
Mm-hmm.
They have a planet-killing weapon and they have this guy. It's still on.
Yeah.
So as far as we need to keep that dark tone, I like them both. I like both styles of tone. I think that Rogue One, I again, as we said earlier, I think it balances tone really well between, it's very heavy, but on occasion we can have some fun.
Light. Well, also, if your whole thing is dark, then it's hard to get darker.
That's true.
So
yes,
I do like the levity of episode 4, then all of a sudden the dip down into Empire Strikes Back, and then the slow rise back up into
That's a terrific point, because my favorite phrase in the world, peaks and valleys, that applies here too. This is actually where that phrase comes from, is in screenwriting. If you don't have valleys, you can't have peaks, and if you don't have peaks, you can't have valleys. And that's in reference to tone. Like you can't have something really funny if you don't have something really dark, and you can't have something really dark if you don't have something really light.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't enjoy a rainy day without having the sunny ones, or rather that's the opposite. You can't enjoy a sunny day without the rainy ones. So you need the shift, you need the balance. And overall, yes, the Rogue One is a darker movie, but it maintains the balance really well. Andor, I think, leans heavier on the darker tone without so much of the balance. But I think that, I don't know, I like some of the lighter toned stuff, like Ahsoka, I think is fun.
Yeah.
I think Mando,
keeps it pretty light.
I think Mando
Grogu
has
helps.
some of the most fun as far as tone goes.
Mhm.
Like it keeps things pretty light, but also the stakes aren't super high in Mando either.
Yeah.
So
Just keeping Grogu safe.
I like having a bunch of different flavors. I don't know that we need to stick to one thing or another. But I like Tacos 42. Not a question, but I love you guys. Aw.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you. That's such a nice comment.
I was gonna say that you like.
I don't pre-screen these. I just like read them as I go, so I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, and also I want to say like that you have no idea how much that means. like that means a lot. That here we are, just messing around in one of your bedrooms. Yeah, and like that's really nice.
That is really nice.
Yeah,
thank you so much for that. That's awesome. You're awesome too. I like Tacos 42. You're way better than I like Tacos 41, and I like Tacos 43. You're the best one. I know it's a bold claim, but I'll stick to it. I stand by it. BC_Scrubs. What would have made Rogue One better in your opinion? It's a great question. I think, kind of as we were saying earlier, if we could have made the movie a little more cohesive, and if we could have built the characters a little bit better. And I think that that's hard. Again, I'm not a screenwriter, so I don't know the best avenue to do that. But maybe we whittle down the Rogue One crew by 1 or even 2. Again, I love Chirrut and Babes, but maybe they don't need to be there. I hate to say that.
Or turn them into one character.
Yeah, or maybe blend them, take their
or maybe have them die on Jeddah.
Yeah, or you do maybe.
Yeah.
Although I like that the whole crew dies on Scarif, like part of the mission.
Yeah.
I do like that. So I don't know, maybe take the plot or the character motivations of another character and give them to them. I don't know. That's tough. I just think that there's too many characters that we have to care about that we don't already know about. And it's like we're a 2-hour and 12-minute movie and we have a lot to do in that time. So
I would have given it an extra 15 minutes. Let it breathe just a little bit. And I would have given that probably equally to the good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah.
Because I think Krennic is just moving on a swivel as well.
Yeah, and
I just boom, boom, boom. And I'm like, I don't feel like he needs to be making that many movements.
And I
would have cut down some cameos too.
It hurts me to say, I think that you get rid of that Vader scene in the middle of the movie.
Yep. I think that you cut down some of the cameos. I think that you try to make Tarkin's role a little smaller too.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy about that too, that Vader scene? I've forgotten about this. That's what gave us his castle.
Yeah, for the first time.
Yeah, that's what established that. That's become such an iconic piece of Vader's history now. I forgot that it came from this movie.
Yeah.
So that's hard. It's hard to say that like retroactively because it's like, what does that mean for the future of Vader's character? Like we get so much from that.
Well, it could have been in a comic book.
I know, but
yeah,
it's like,
I mean, Ralph McQuarrie did that artwork already.
Did he of like that castle?
Well,
like
there was a Fortress Vader.
I mean, if you could tell me in a vacuum, like, yeah, you could pluck that out of Rogue One in 2016, and yes, the castle is still there and all the other stuff, then sure. But if you would also tell me that no, you removed that from Rogue One and none of the other artists get that idea going forward, then I think it's maybe a necessary evil. I don't like using that word for it because I don't hate it. I don't think it's terrible in the movie. It's just it's just unnecessary. I think so. It's just structurally, I think, is the main issue with the movie. I think that if you fix the structure, I think the other issues kind of work themselves out.
Yeah.
So that's what I would have done to make the movie better. But like I said, I like it a lot better this time. So
people need to breathe, both sides.
Yeah.
Let's tighten up those cameos. Maybe not as egregious. Yeah. That's I think that would doesn't need to be as violent. There you go. You fix a lot of things for me with those simple changes.
Yeah. Seth doesn't like violence.
It's not that. I guess I just want to know.
He just wants everybody to hit each other with pool noodles.
Stop it. No, it's like, okay, because that's not fair. Because like, I like The Boys. I like Netflix Daredevil. But I know going into those things what to be expecting.
Yeah.
It's like I go into a Star Wars movie, and then if it's way more brutal, then it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's so fascinating to me. It's fascinating to me that bothers you. I don't know why.
I don't know.
Because I mean, in A New Hope, they blow up a whole Death Star.
You mean a whole planet?
No, that too.
Oh, and the Death Star?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
that's pretty brutal.
They were planning on like horrible things with that.
It's just seeing it is what bothers him to you.
Yeah, no, it's like, okay, we've talked about this before. It's like the whole seeing in episode 3 when he's killing the Separatists and they're like begging Vader when he's killing the Separatists and like he's slashing them and you see that it's not like Luke hitting guys in Return of the Jedi where it's almost like a light club and they just fall into the Sarlacc. No, this is like you see slashes and it's hot and they're like begging for him to stop and he just keeps going. Like it's that kind of stuff that I don't like.
But that's so...
It's dark.
It's meant to make you feel uncomfortable.
I know, and it does. I was going to say that, like, and I get that. So that's why, like, that stuff is hard. Yeah.
But I guess what I'm asking is, like,
I understand that it's necessary. It's a necessary evil.
But you don't feel that way about Rogue One.
No, I do feel like that about Rogue One.
But you're saying, like, but you don't like to see those things in Rogue One. Is it one of those things where it's like, I don't like to watch it, but it's necessary for the story? Like it is in Revenge of the Sith?
That like maybe also too that it's like that I saw Revenge of the Sith when I was like in high school and I was like, this is awesome. And now that that's really sat with me for a long time and I realized that like, that's not very awesome. That like that is not something to strive for. Yeah. So, and I mean that scene still does kind of bother me. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean it's meant to bother you. It's meant to move you.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is like, I think this Vader scene, it's meant to strike your fan chords, but it's also...
and that's, I think too, that what kind of bothers me is that everyone's like, this is the Vader scene. And I'm like, but is it though?
Yeah.
There's plenty of other scenes that I think are better. Like that's just him being brutal. There's more to the character than that.
I mean, that is sort of the thing, right? With Vader is like, he's ruthless but that's the thing with villains. People love a good villain.
It is true. But I think that like subtleness, again, him... like it's tough to beat the whole him under in the throne room, sister. Yeah. So you have a twin sister. Like picking you apart that way. He's sinister in that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I love that scene in Ahsoka where Anakin comes walking out and then like he sparks and he's Vader for a second. I was like, whew, you've seen it. We recorded ourselves. That like me, like I like went, oh man, that like, yeah, that it's like, this is that part of him. This is that Rogue One hallway him. Yeah. That it's like, she better look out.
Yeah.
Yeah. This isn't good.
It's interesting. I just think your perspective on it's interesting.
I think I just take it seriously and I get really into it. It's
That's
like that.
okay.
It's like what we were talking about. Like, well, we haven't talked about it yet. There's a scene with Yoda and Count Dooku. I take that scene very differently. That'll be in a future episode that we will talk about that. I take that scene very differently than most people do.
Yeah. Well, you have a reason to, though.
Yeah, exactly. But I just like take things very seriously.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. Okay, moving on. Tom Chadburn 1501. Why is there so much hype on this film? I think it's pretty good, but people go crazy for it. Tom, I'm right there with you.
Dude, I don't understand.
Tom, you are speaking to, you're preaching to the choir, my friend.
True. Because I don't understand. I said one thing and everyone jumped.
So, okay, to give you some background about why we're like, if you're lost at this point. So we did our tier list, right? And we put it in C tier. It was our first one.
Yeah.
But then we made our Revenge of the Sith, we made a Revenge of the Sith short.
Yeah.
Where we were talking about how great Revenge of the Sith is, right?
Yeah.
But you can see Rogue One's placement in the video. And that video got some traction on YouTube. Half of the comments are not about Revenge of the Sith. It's just like, this is egregious. What in the world is your guys' problem? I can't believe some things got flagged by YouTube. Like we got some
people cussing at us.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. Like I know Star Wars fans get passionate. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. We get passionate, but I have not seen like, don't get me wrong. There's that side of the Star Wars fandom. We all know it exists. We get it, right? But I've not seen that level of it.
That's the hill people choose to die on.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like when I say that side of the Star Wars fandom, I'm talking about the people who are mean just for the sake of being mean. Like whatever with those people. But these guys with Rogue One, it's like this is their movie. Yeah. Right. And it's crazy. They will, like you said, it's the hill they'll die on.
That is it. Save the rebellion. Save the dream.
And that's what I don't understand. Like even rewatching it, I think it's cool. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I just don't like.
I don't think it's great though. I think that it's like still a mixed bag.
Yeah. Like even if I saw like if I saw a video of somebody talking about Rogue One the way I talked about Revenge of the Sith, okay,
Yeah.
but then I saw on their tier list ranking Revenge of the Sith and C tier, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
But I couldn't imagine getting to the comment section and be like, you son of a...
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like I would want to
it.
track it down and like, okay, let's see what
I might
they have
ask
to
a
say.
question. And sure, I get that. And we've gotten some of those. And the people who are super nice, like, don't get me wrong. I really appreciate those comments.
Yeah.
I've gotten plenty of those where people were like, I'm really curious. Why do you have Rogue One and C tier? And I've had a back and forth with a lot of those people. And they're super nice, you know. But a lot of them... flagged by YouTube, flagged by YouTube, flagged by YouTube.
Yeah. It's fine.
Held for review. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
We
So
don't know.
to answer your question, Tom, I'm hoping the people here who do like it, the people who watch the show, who do like, please enlighten us.
Please.
What have we missed?
Because it seems like it's just sometimes a movie comes along. Amazing Spider-Man 2's like that. Or the Andrew Garfield movies. I feel like those fans, they're like,
really?
Oh yeah.
They really dig their heels in.
They're just like, Andrew's our Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This movie doesn't have the problems that you think it does.
I think that the Toby movies
The
are like
Tobys
that.
have that too.
Like those are good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I'm like,
yeah.
I like some other movies better.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I could already see some people in the comments who can be like, guys, come on. I can handle the Rogue One slander, but don't get on Toby. I like Toby Spider-Man, by the way.
Me too.
Which all this to say, I like Rogue One. It's just, I got a lot of people who are like, for me, it's Rogue One, Empire, Revenge of the Sith. It's Empire, Rogue One, Revenge of the Sith. It's like, those are the top three. I'm like, really?
It's wild to me.
Really? like again, it's good. I just it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's crazy. There's a lot of passionate fans, and hey, that's cool though. I'm glad that they've got their Star
passionate
Wars.
about other things. I just said that like everyone's over here probably just being like, "Come on, Seth." Like,
Yeah.
I get it. You get passionate about certain things,
and that's cool. I'm glad that this movie was like the movie for people.
Yeah,
and like I'm excited for fans who maybe this was the first movie they went to go watch.
mm-hmm.
You know,
In
and
the theater.
like, and then that's what they got to experience. I think that's super cool.
Yeah.
You know, so. Don't let us, even though we've been a lot more, like, at least me, I appreciate it a lot more. And I think that I don't think we were ever negative on the movie. Like, we had maybe some critiques, but yeah. Don't let us rain on your parade.
Yeah.
You know?
Like what you like.
Like what you like. Joaquin Oliveri says, have you read Catalyst by James Luceno? You mentioned that.
I did.
A little bit ago, I think.
I haven't read it, though.
You haven't read it?
It's just a prequel to Rogue One.
He wrote Plagueis. We're reading that right now.
There you go. Maybe in the future. He is a good author.
He's a very good author.
Yeah.
I got a little fun fact for you, by the way, about Rogue One. I don't know why that reminded me. This is just a little thing. So the guy who came up with this movie, John Knoll is his name. He works at ILM. He's the current CCO. He's the current CCO over at Lucasfilm. I don't know if he was a CCO at the time. He, I think, brought this idea to Kathleen Kennedy, like shortly after they bought Disney, and was like, hey, I got this idea. They steal the Death Star plans. Oh, this is a great idea. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So random guy at ILM, maybe not super random. I mean, if he's CCO, he's also the same guy who invented Photoshop, one of the original creators. Isn't that a weird connection?
That is.
I just think it's so interesting.
That is.
So
That's wild.
Just a little fun Star Wars trivia fact for you.
Look at that.
You can throw at
so
your
much
next
talent.
you just throw at your next party. You know?
Yeah.
Like, what's the connection between Rogue One and
Photoshop?
Frankie B _KKSC says, is Cassian the canon Kyle Katarn, or is there still a chance he might translate over? You know, that guy in Star Wars Outlaws kind of gives me Katarn vibes, but I'll be real, I don't know a whole lot about Katarn. So
yeah, I mean, Katarn's a Jedi. Cassian Andor is not.
You sure? We don't know. We've not seen Andor season 2 yet.
I'm pretty solid. So that I mean, I said it earlier that I'm pretty sure Cassian uses Kyle Katarn's gun in Andor.
Yeah.
As well. So I think that he's their version of it, unfortunately.
Yeah. I can't really like I said, I don't know much about Katarn. Yeah. I will soon though. I'm gonna play the game when it comes out.
Yeah.
Reese's Unfortunately, I can't say that name on air. So I'm just going to say Reese's. That's a really
okay. I know what you're talking about.
It's a super funny name.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Reese's says how the Vader scene recontextualizes A New Hope's opening. Yeah, man. I like I said, I think that it's the, hey, we got the plans, but we still have to win. Yeah. Now it's a sprint. It's a sprint to the finish line.
I do like that there's context to them, like that sweet shot of the Tantive 4 going over in episode 4. Yeah, that it's like, oh, okay, this is where, they are on the run.
Yeah. You know what it kind of reminds me of? You know how like in Gindy's, he talked about if you take that,
it bumps
right up to Revenge of the Sith all the way till they land the invisible hand on Coruscant. That could be a movie. Rogue One going all the way until, the droids go on Tatooine, that could be its own little block. Like you take Act 3 of Rogue One all the way until probably the end of the inciting incident of A New Hope, and then there you go. That's a whole other movie.
Little movie. Yep.
Old Greg Foskett.
Old Greg.
Do you think movies like this enhanced other projects or they weren't necessary? That's a really good question. They weren't necessary.
That's tough.
That is tough. I think that when you say it's not necessary, that's tough because I mean, is Rogue One necessary for Star Wars? No, it's not.
No, but it still brought a lot of cool things. Like you've got, you have K2, that type of droid is really neat.
Yeah.
The U-Wing is really neat.
Vader's Castle
is really neat. The
Director Krennic.
Yes.
It's a fun character. He gets to be in Bad Batch.
Yeah.
No, I think that
Shore Troopers.
I think that when we say like wasn't necessary, it's important to like define that.
Yeah.
Because if we're talking about just the plot of Star Wars, like, no, I mean, we don't.
No.
I don't think we need to know how they get the plans. It's a fun story to tell.
Yeah.
It's a fun story.
That's why it's a Star Wars story.
Yeah. And that's fun.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And that's Solo is the same thing. It's how I kind of feel like Solo.
It's not very necessary.
It's not necessary, but it's fun. It's a fun story.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's sitting around the campfire. You want to know how the Death Star plans were stolen? let's hear about it.
Yeah.
You know, does it enhance the other projects? I would say so. I think it enhances.
Yeah.
It
Definitely
adds,
world builds.
like, you know, A New Hope was a product of its time in a lot of ways, and Vader has become this sort of force of nature. He wasn't that in A New Hope.
No.
But
He listened to Tarkin.
this kind of makes him that again, and you can kind of almost see, like, maybe when he gets onto the Tantive 4, he's just tired.
Yeah.
You know, like he already brutalized all of them, so he gets in, he's like, okay, now we need to just look for the plans. We know they're in here. You know, like you can really start of like sow the seeds, you know, and start to contextualize a lot of things. So yeah, I think it enhances.
Mhm.
And like you said, they get a lot more troopers and stuff too.
Yep.
Matt66801, would you like to see more single story movies like Rogue One, or do you think trilogies are better for Star Wars?
Single stories.
I think that let's not be locked down to either. I don't think we should go into it with one or the other. Just tell a story.
And
just
if it
come
takes
into
more
it,
movies.
yeah, go into
then
it
do
and
it.
tell a story.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the idea between this and Solo was great. Like, this obviously didn't have a sequel in mind. The sequel is A New Hope.
Yep.
Solo, they had like a trilogy in mind, and it works on its own.
Yeah.
They can just tell that story.
Yep.
I mean, you do have the weird Darth Maul cliffhanger, but like, okay.
Yeah.
You know, and
It is a weird hanging thread, though.
It is a weird hanging thread.
Yeah.
But, just all I want is for them to just tell good stories.
Yes.
That's all I want.
Quality things you're proud of.
Yeah. That's all I want.
Yes.
Let's not worry about trilogies. Like, let's not worry about franchise building and
making $1 billion.
Yeah.
Just tell a good movie.
yeah, just
Tell a good
make
story.
a good movie and let the pieces fall where they may.
Yep.
You know, and if it flops, okay, move on to the next one.
Yep.
You know, it's what they did with Solo, and we can still enjoy Solo.
It's true.
KatieSource.rex, what would you change in the plot to make it work better? We kind of talked about this. We just kind of restructured a little bit.
Yes.
Nick's Toy Picks, if you could save one character from the crew, who would it be and why? Ooh.
Bodhi, Chirrut, or K2.
I'm probably K2.
Yeah.
I think everybody really just like the movie's very impactful by their deaths, and I don't know what you do with those characters going forward.
Because why would they continue fighting?
It's either Chirrut and Baze or K2. I think K2 is a fun storyteller type character that could be brought forward later.
Yeah,
like you find his head and stick him on a new body.
Yeah,
you know, and then there you go.
I mean, there ain't much left of that building now.
No, right? I know, but you know, theoretically,
yes.
Right. CT10_994. Do you think Jyn and Cassian could have survived if a small team retrieved them?
I mean, they did have time to get all the way down to the beach.
Yeah.
I think that they could have gotten onto a ship. Definitely they couldn't have gotten up, but they could have kept going around the planet.
Maybe, but when you see them leave from Jeddah, they're like barely outrunning that.
It's true.
So I don't think a team could get there.
No.
For sure. Because that
I think
team would have to get there. They'd have to get on.
Yeah.
And they're injured.
Yes.
They have to get on and then they have to
Cassian's
leave.
moving pretty slow. Like, I think that's part of it, is I think he's really beat up, like way more than what the movie shows.
Yeah. So I think that's, gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough. But I think at that point, they've just like, it's time to rest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they've earned it.
Yeah.
Jeremy Bloor, do you think Chirrut Inway, blind guy, thanks for the clarification, appreciate it, is the first to show that anyone can use the Force? You know, I think so, maybe. That it's the first in canon, at least on screen.
Yeah,
we see
I mean, unless
use
you
the
can
Force.
count Finn.
Does he really use the Force in Force
I don't know,
Awakens,
he
though?
wields a lightsaber and doesn't chop his arm off.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be the only thing. Because like Han, holds it, but all he does is he just cuts open the tauntaun with it. Yeah.
Maybe. That's a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea that, you know, for Chirrut, the door was open a little bit, as Luke would say.
Yes.
Hertel_96. What do you think of K2SO's character development, and did he live up to the hype? He sure did. I'm a big Alan Tudyk fan.
Yeah.
I love K2.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's awesome. I like that type of droid.
I think he's leaning a little close to the obnoxious, but I do like him.
Yeah.
I liked him better this time around on this viewing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He does kind of.
He's leaning.
He's the C-3PO.
Yes.
He's like C-3PO. C-3PO was cool.
Yes, it's true. But like, I think he's leaving a little bit more obnoxious than C-3PO at times.
Really? I don't know.
Sometimes. I don't know. It's the whole catching the grenade and throwing it behind him. It's just like,
I think
what is
that's
happening?
cool. That's fun. That's fun.
I do really like him beating up the door or like beating the thing and like, taking out the stormtroopers and like holding down the fort while they're inside trying to.
I'm also a
find the
big
planes.
fan of a character like that, of a droid, and also a comedic character being the heart.
Mhm.
Like, climb, Cassian, climb.
Yeah.
Gosh,
It's good stuff.
good moment.
Yeah.
Darth_Christensen. Vader carried Rogue One. The rest was okay. I would have agreed with you, Darth Christensen, prior to this rewatch, but now I don't think so. In fact, I would remove one of his 2 scenes.
Yeah. I don't know if he's completely necessary.
I think he's necessary for the end.
Yeah.
But I don't think that you need that middle scene.
Yeah.
It's cool though. I'm glad he's there. I am glad he's there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad that we get that little moment with him for sure. Because even if it's just fan service, it's okay to have that from time to time.
It's true. Well, you got to it's what you were saying earlier. We got to remember that we're still in a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, we're still there. We're still in the universe.
Yes.
Like,
if it makes sense to have him there, he should be there.
Yeah, a giant player.
Yes.
You always hear this phrase. It's like, it makes the galaxy too small. Maybe, but not if it's the big one, the second in command to the Empire.
Yes.
When you're dealing with the rebellion.
Yes. I mean,
I don't know. He should maybe be there.
You were saying it earlier. I mean, it's like this is a kind of a nexus point.
Yeah.
All the major players were here at this moment.
Right.
And then it shifts the galaxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Retney's Holocron. Do you prefer Rogue One or Andor?
Rogue One.
So I know that I talk some smack on Andor a lot. I actually do like Andor. I think that it's pretty good. Like, I think it's a very well-made TV show. It's very well made.
I hope people don't think that I don't think it's great on the technical side.
You did say, I hate this show.
I do hate the show. I will say, I'll admit it. I don't like it, but I think that it is still a technical marvel.
Yeah.
I think it looks very pretty.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool that you can go find the sets where they went and filmed because they just left them up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the dialogue is really tight and everything.
I was going to say, and it makes TIE fighters seem scary. It makes the Empire seem scary. Everybody's just the end of the day.
I just, when I think about Andor, I remember being on the edge of my seat every week, like being excited to watch it. I do remember every week being like, okay, when are we going to get to some Star Wars stuff? Like, I still stand by that comment. I think that is like the crux of it, but that's such an abstract thing. Like, right. Like somebody else might say, I don't get that. I thought it was very Star Warsy, and like, that's valid. You know, just to me, I didn't feel that all the time.
Yeah.
There were episodes that I thought, yeah, this was hitting, like that Aldhani arc.
Is that the one where they're stealing the stuff?
Yeah. That's my
the
favorite.
best part.
That's my favorite part.
That is the best part. A heist. A very Star Wars thing.
Yeah. And the prison stuff, also awesome. I really liked that.
Yeah, but like, I'll argue that it's like,
I thought the iconography wasn't always Star Wars.
No, and the whole thing too is like, and then the big thing is that, he helped build the Death Star.
You don't like that?
I mean, it's weird for Jen that the two most
it's
important guys in her life kind of one helped build the super laser and the other one literally helped build the super laser.
I think that's poetic.
It's crazy.
I think that season 2 will probably lean a little bit more into like the iconography and stuff.
To be more
but
like
I also
Rogue
really
One.
like it. So, but to answer Retney's question, do you prefer Rogue One or Andor? Probably Rogue One. But I do like Andor. So
Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
And then last question from Michael_Kramer98. What was your favorite scene from the movie? Mine was the Battle of Scarif. Well, that's mine too, Michael.
Should we get, I guess here's a good opportunity. When you click on Disney Plus and you look at the picture for this movie, that scene's not even in the movie.
Of Jyn when she's
when she looks around the tunnel, that light tunnel. I want to know what's going on there. I think that's such a cool looking shot. And then also in that Star Wars Unlimited card game, her picture is her in that light tunnel again. Where I'm just like, what was going on? Like, that looks awesome. That I really wish that would have made the movie.
So that's your favorite scene, the one that's not in the movie?
It's such a really cool shot. I mean, there's so many shots that like, dude, that one shot of Krennic in the trailer where he's walking and his cloak's dragging in the water. It's so sick. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm trying to think of. There's just like, man, that's frustrating. That I'm trying to think of like my favorite moment though. That like again, my favorite shot. I don't know if I mentioned it or not. It's when they're leaving Yavin 4 for the first time, and you've got the rebel soldier on like the big lookout tower for the first.
That's your favorite shot?
Oh, it's so pretty. And then
That's
also
cool.
when they land on Jeddah, and then it's like through the rock, and then he get the sun
That's
flare.
good too.
So good.
My
What's your favorite shot?
If a shot is probably the shot of the Death Star over Scarif, just because the musical cue of just like that soft.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what instrument it is. It's not coming to mind, but it's just like a soft cue, and it's not ominous.
Yeah,
but you just see it back there. It's it's just such a pretty shot.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, the cinematography for this movie is
it's
great.
awesome.
It's great.
It's awesome. It's crazy because it's finagled together. But I'm trying. Do you have a favorite
like moment?
Yeah. What's your favorite like moment? Do you have a favorite moment? I might go. I like when the camera is sitting on top of the X-wing and they drop down to go try to do the attack run on the shield.
Yeah,
that's pretty sick. Like that is. I'm having fun at that moment.
I guess if we're just talking single moments that I really like, I've always like this. When I think Rogue One, there's a shot that always pops in my mind, and it's of all of those TIE fighters when they leave.
Oh, the shield.
The shield.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, man, it's like 50 TIE fighters.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's the scale of that fight is really cool.
It is.
It's just the Battle of Scarif. I mean, that is my favorite. I like the ground stuff, and I know that's like a lot. It's the whole third act, basically, but the Hammerhead Corvette.
Yeah. Smashing
into the Star Destroyer, and then they break the shield.
Yeah. I do like the two stormtroopers walking. Hey, have you heard about the new? And then like Chirrut smacks him and then like hides. Like, that's some nice.
I've got a bad feeling about that. Shut up, quiet. Okay, that's good too.
Some nice connective tissue to the other films. Yeah.
So, it was fun to revisit it. It was. Yes. I enjoyed it.
I like Star Wars. Like, even that if it's not my favorite Star Wars thing, that doesn't mean that I'm like, I'll find things that I like. Yeah. Just like how I really like those 3 episodes in Andor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the other ones. Yeah. It's rough.
I'm looking forward to when Andor season 2 drops.
Dude, that's going to be a wild time for us.
Because we're going to review, we're going to go back for season 1.
Yeah, and we'll talk about it.
I'm curious to see what our opinions are for that. Maybe they change.
Yeah.
So what's up next as far as the show, and what's up next for the review space? I want to ask you guys, I'm kind of between 2 things when it comes to what we should review next. Should we go the other Star Wars story? Should we go Solo?
Yeah.
Or Visions? Because I've had a lot of people, based on our last episode, are like, hey, you need to go back and do Visions.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you guys, it's between those 2. The next review that we do, is it going to be Visions, or is it going to be Solo, a Star Wars story? I'd love to hear. Because there are some things about Solo that I would love to talk about, because I like that movie.
It's kind of dark. Like
visually dark.
Visually dark.
It has one thing. I think I have a very hot take with that movie that I'm excited to share with the audience. You could see it.
Oh, I know what it is.
If there's something hidden on the set that maybe gives you I actually don't even know if you can see it.
No, they can't see it.
They might in the wide shot. I don't know. Anyway, let us know. Let us know what you think. Next week, we're getting back to the tier list. The board, it's coming back. The baby. Board can never be gone for long.
No,
it was here last week.
No board is ever really gone.
Yeah. And we're doing the lightsaber battle tier list. Which one's the best? Which one's the worst? Are we going to have any hot takes this time? Are we going to argue like the last time? I don't know. Stay tuned to find out. We're really excited. As always, guys, have a good week. We'll see you out beyond the Dune Sea.